Dr. Raw Egg, good to be with you today.
Yeah, it's good to be with you.
At NatalCon 2025. So yesterday night at the reception, we saw some protesters outside.
We did.
I just wanted to ask you, what are your recommendations for the protesters outside? What should they do to improve their lives?
Anything other than turning up at a very innocent gathering of people who are interested in people having children, people actually reproducing, and putting on such a pathetic display. I mean, it really was. It was embarrassing. I mean, there were like 7 of them, right?
I've been thinking about this theory. I wonder what your thoughts are. But do you think the lackluster showing was because of the USAID cuts that we've seen?
Yeah, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, is it? It really isn't. I mean, is that an actual organized group within the University of Texas?
It is.
Okay, it is. Yeah.
They could be getting some funding from somewhere.
I'm sure they probably are. I mean, they looked like they were committed. I mean, they had face masks outside in the heat. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that people like that still exist.
It is.
But they do. Not very many of them. And it's, I mean, the interesting thing actually, is it's very clear that we're not in 2016 anymore. I mean, 2016 there was energy, there was momentum behind the left, behind the protests, and that was just, I mean, it was so funny. Yeah, really embarrassing.
I wonder, do you have a message for young people out there, especially young men? Should they be optimistic about the world? Or should they be nihilistic?
Oh, they absolutely shouldn't be nihilistic. I mean, I think really fundamentally it's impossible to live without hope, and I do think that there are plenty. I mean, we live in difficult times, there's no doubt about that. I think we should be realistic about the scale of the problems that face the world, that face the Western world in particular. And I mean, young men do have a hard time. Young men really do have a hard time, and that's one of the reasons why someone like Jordan Peterson is very popular, of course, is because he actually offers a positive message for young men. I mean, men are crying out really for a positive message, for meaning, for purpose in particular. So I mean, one of the things that I try to do is I try to impress on people and young men in particular, that you can change your life massively actually by making very small incremental changes. So just taking your diet seriously, working out, starting to try and shape yourself to have some discipline, to have some focus, to have an aim. I think a lot of young men are aimless actually, and once you start to take your life in hand and do small incremental things, it builds up over time. And actually, I say, you start small, look after the small things, and the big things will take care of themselves. So if you can just start in a small way, then you can actually, within 6 months, a year, your life will be unrecognizable. And however you feel about the world now, whatever despair you might feel, however badly you might feel things are going, I can guarantee you'll feel different.
Switching gears a little bit, as a Yankee yourself, I'm interested what your thoughts are on the state of the UK.
The UK, yeah, the UK.
In comparison to America.
The first time I came to the US was in 2007. I went to Los Angeles. I was about 21, I think. Didn't come back until 2024. I went to Hereticon last year in Miami, just before the election, so that was sort of end of October. And I thought, wow. I mean, I was actually kind of on a bit of a downer because I live in the UK, and it's low energy. Everybody's demoralized. Everything's going the wrong way. And then I came to Miami, and there was all of this momentum behind Trump, and I thought, wow, actually, something big is really going to happen. He's obviously going to win the election, and it's going to unleash a huge wave of change and optimism, and it has. And I've come back to New York, I went to Washington for the inauguration, and now I'm here in Texas for the first time. And yeah, I mean, it's a totally different place. I mean, it's a totally different place over here, It feels like, I mean, yes, America has problems too. I mean, I think every nation in the Western world has problems, but nevertheless, there is a political movement that's a determined political movement that's attempting to address those problems in a creative way. And there's popular enthusiasm, and that's exactly there's popular enthusiasm for change in the UK, but there isn't a political movement really, I think, that represents it fully. You've got reform with Nigel Farage, and people had very high hopes for him, but already that movement, I think, has kind of devolved into petty squabbling, infighting, Nigel Farage really actually just wants to be the Prime Minister. That's his goal. He wants to be the Prime Minister, you know. I mean, and he is in many respects the most Trump-like figure the UK has. You know, he's a populist and he is popular with the man on the street, but I don't think that he has what it takes to change the UK in the way that it needs to change if it isn't to become a totally different country. So yeah, I mean, things are difficult in the UK, and I do often, having come here now 3 or 4 times in 4 months, 5 months, you know, I do think actually, yeah, I'd probably rather be, although I love my country, I'm a patriot, and I care deeply, as much as I care about anything about my country. I do think, you know, sometimes what future does it have? What's it going to take? Because it doesn't feel like there is a political solution, actually, in the way that it does in America still. You know, there is a political movement that's MAGA that is actually doing something. So, so yeah, it's a mixed bag, really. But yeah, I mean, I think America is leading the way, really, for the Western world. That's why it's so important to care, and that's why I've cared for a long time about American politics, is because I just think that, you know, it's the most important thing that's happening in the world right now, in the Western world, for patriots.